Let's bring in our panel now to talk more about what we've witnessed here today. Emily Burley, she's a foreign policy expert, and Enia Krivine, she's an Israeli program director at the Foundation for the Defense of Democracies. She is in Tel Aviv right now. And let's start there. So first, let's just focus on what we saw right here and just how historic this is from your perspective.
This is a huge day that will go down in Israel's history. Of course, it's a very happy day. Many people, many experts did not think that Israel would be able to recover all of the living hostages. So the fact that Trump was able to secure this deal that brought home 20 live hostages, the last remaining live hostages in Gaza within the first 6 or 7 hours of the day today, was a huge achievement. And there is just joy, happiness, celebration. It's also a holiday, so a lot of joy on the streets today in Israel.
Emily, you, of course, as we introduce you to our audience, our last appearance with you, you have spent a lot of time working in Gaza. You've seen how Hamas has manipulated the global media and how they have utilized foreign aid for their own benefit, not for the benefit of the Palestinians. Give us your perspective on what we have seen today.
This is a truly historic day. I was up very early, celebrating, watching the hostages being freed. That speech we just heard from President Trump, what a barnstormer. I rather loved that he was calling out his friends from all around the world and speaking in the historic terms of what we've just seen. You know, I'm a Brit, so I always have to a little bit look at the negative side. As you mentioned, I have worked on Gaza and the West Bank. And I think that unless the Gazans are told that they are not refugees, they are simply Arabs who live in Gaza, then this peace will not be sustainable. I would like to see the end of UNRWA. It is an aberration, and it has not helped the Gazans find peace. In fact, it's trapped them in a perpetual war.
Yeah, let's just stay with that real quick, Enia, because we did see... I mean, we've seen the UN try to tackle this issue for basically our entire lifetimes, if not before that. They have not delivered any kind of results. And what President Trump and Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner have done is basically pulled an end around on the status quo of trying to negotiate peace in the Mideast. Your thoughts?
100%. This is a 180-degree switcheroo from Donald Trump. I mean, just a month ago, people in Israel were feeling low and discouraged by these European countries recognizing a Palestinian state, Hamas lauding the decision from European countries, Canada, Australia, and some of these European countries together. And it felt like a low moment. But by this embrace of Israel, by Trump devoting these huge resources to cinching this deal, by showing up in the Knesset, by delivering this encouraging speech with not only Secretary of War Pete Hegseth, but also Marco Rubio and Dan Raisin-Kane, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, and Ivanka Trump and Jared Kushner and Steve Witkoff, Israel felt an embrace. And historically, that is when Israel can take a chance on peace, when it feels embraced by the United States, when it feels like it can take these risks of its security in order to reach out the hand of peace. And this was the result. This is what Trump managed to deliver that no other American president has been able to do. And now we see an opportunity for a change in what has been an over 20 years of terror enclave in Gaza. You have Hamas that's been at the helm since 2007. All of the misery, all of the failed state and the conditions, the poor conditions that Gazans have been living in, now they have a chance to finally turn it around.
And I'm glad you mentioned that, because what's been lost in a lot of the international media coverage of the conflict between Israel and Hamas is the fact that Hamas took control of Gaza really by force. They, of course, were elected the political wing of Hamas, but they fought a civil war and really brought a lot of their opposition to heel by killing them and by brutal means, which, of course, we saw played out on Israel on October 7th. The other thing, too, Emily, next question to you on this is we do see the global leaders just heaping praise on President Trump. We saw the Prime Minister of Pakistan, Shehbaz Sharif, basically ask President Trump to see if he could negotiate some sort of long-term peace accord between India and Pakistan. But we also are struck by who is not in this picture and the way that President Trump has set this up. No China, no President Xi Jinping. Obviously, Vladimir Putin's not part of this conversation. They look even more isolated today than they did just a day ago.
I entirely agree. And as Enia said, this is an embrace of Israel. But for me, this is an embrace of the West. It is an embrace of freedom. And it is indeed an embrace of the dignity of Gazans. If you actually care about Gazans, you want them to be free of Hamas. And that is not what Iran or China or Russia wants. So today, I think we should not only be celebrating as a wonderful day for Israel, but it's a good day for us, the people who live in the West. And I like to remind people, we're not perfect, but we are definitely the good guys.
We just briefly there lost that feed of, I believe it's being called Freedom Square now in Tel Aviv, formerly Hostage Square. But now that we have the hostages home, we have a new name for it. And I want to play a clip here of Benjamin Netanyahu. This is earlier today, talking about his commitment to peace.
Mr. President, you are committed to this peace. I am committed to this peace. And together, Mr. President, we will achieve this peace. This is the most fitting name ever named for a military operation, because a little after midnight, you really hammered them.
So Benjamin Netanyahu, President Trump today calling for a full pardon for Benjamin Netanyahu. Many folks at home know he's going through, he's been indicted by the Israeli courts, and he's dealing with that, and a lot of political pressure is home. Enia, talk to us about what this peace deal does for Benjamin Netanyahu politically in Israel.
Yeah, Trump's calling for Netanyahu's acquittal is a little bit of political theater. I think there were a lot of smiles and shrugs in Knesset that day from Netanyahu's party and also the opposition. Look, I think that this is undoubtedly a victory for Netanyahu, and I think that's intentional. This was how Netanyahu could sell this ceasefire, this peace, to his coalition, to his party, and to Israelis. 1,000 soldiers, just about 1,000 soldiers have been killed in this war in Gaza. It has been a very painful experience that has lasted 2 years. Israel has been engaged in a 7-front war with attacks from Iran, from Yemen, from Iraq, from Syria, from Lebanon, from all sides. So Israelis needed to be told that they would be safe, that they could make this concession. And that's why this visit from Trump was so important. And this is going to help Netanyahu. Again, Israeli politics are the wild, wild west. There will be elections in 2026 as scheduled, and we'll see. I think he's going to go into that if this peace holds, and if he continues to get the remains of the fallen hostages who are not home yet, if he continues to have a peace, to have no more war, and to continue showing signs of success with these hostages, if more countries are added to the Abraham Accords, if Israel feels like there is a regional détente that will continue, I think Netanyahu will look good for the elections, and he will continue his longest serving tenure as Israeli prime minister in history, and will take it to new records.
All right. Well, he has been in power a very long time, and this is obviously a historic achievement for him and for President Trump. Ladies, great to have you both with us. Emily, Enia, we appreciate your insights on all this. So great to have you with us today.
Yeah.
Thank you.